Welcome to the runtime error, the place where programming begins. So as we started with the Java collections, in this video I'm going to tell you the collection interface. In previous video we have discussed the introductory part for Java collections. So it's time to dive a little bit deeper into Java collections. So in this video we are going to discuss a collection interface. So what does it mean is, whatever the inbuilt functions which we are going to discuss in this video, those are common to collection interface. All the interface, for example list, queue and set. So whatever the collection interface which comes under these three categories, for all this interface, all this method we are discussing in this video will be common to them. Apart from these common inbuilt functions, there are certain inbuilt functions which are basically meant only for that particular collection interface. For example, list. List contains all the inbuilt functions which we are going to discuss in this video. Apart from this, there are certain inbuilt functions which is basically defined only for the list itself. Similarly, it is applicable to all the collection interfaces. Most interesting point that is, before we start discussing this video, I have declared this collection interface over here. I know this is a bit confusing for the people who have started the collection class just now, but as of now try to ignore this because I am going to discuss all the collection interface, their syntax, how to declare them and how to use them in more detailed manner in upcoming videos. I have used this only for the explanation part of these inbuilt functions. So without wasting time, let's get started. So this is li. What does it mean is, simply I have used a name for that collection. The first one is size. So what does it basically do is, it simply return the size of collection. Say for example, currently my collection li does not have any of the element. Therefore it will simply return 0. So can we say that the return type of this size is simply the integer, because it is returning the size of my list. Second one is called as a is empty. So by the name itself we come to know that it simply returns true if my collection is empty, otherwise it returns false. If I try to get the output of this li.isEmpty, it will simply return true because it is initially empty. There is no any element present in it. Third one is contains. Most interesting point to note here is, I have used object. Now the question comes, why do I need to use the object over here? Because in collection, as we know that we need a wrapper classes. In collection, we cannot use a primitive data types like int, char, float. We cannot use this primitive data type in collection interface because these are the wrapper classes. This is the reason why I have mentioned here object, because this integer is basically treated as an object. So it simply returns true if my list contains this particular value. Say for example, my list has 1, 2, 3 and I use contains 7. Does my list contain 7? No, therefore it simply returns false. If I pass 3, does it contains 3? Yes, so it simply returns true. So this is how this basically works. Fourth one is called as add. Again I have used e symbol here. What does it mean is, here I'm using a wrapper class called as an integer. I'm trying to insert a character. Is it possible? Absolutely no. Therefore we need to use a kind of a value which is similar to this particular data type. So this is the reason why I have used e over here. So it simply returns a true if this value is added. Otherwise it returns false if the value is not added. Most interesting point that is, it basically adds the value at end. Say for example 1, 2, 3. These are the value my list contains. Now I want to add 4. So it basically adds 4 at the end of my list. Last one is called as a remove. Again I'm using the object because we know that collection basically contains object, that is wrapper classes. Therefore it simply returns the value if it is present in my list, otherwise it does not remove anything. I hope so you understood this inbuilt function. These are the most simplest inbuilt functions because from the name itself we can know that what is the purpose of this inbuilt function. Then comes an iterators. So basically iterators are used to traverse the list. This is collection list. Say for example I have the 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and I want to traverse. So these are the iterators which basically helps to traverse this list. Don't worry, I'm going to explain this iterator part in more detail in the upcoming videos. So next two are called as a two array methods. So what does a two array method says that? We know this is the collection and say for example I want to convert this collection into array. Is it possible to convert any collections into array? Yes. This is basically done with the help of two inbuilt functions called as object to array and this the to array method. Again I'm going to have a separate videos on these two things. So I hope so you understood this. Now let's check out some bulk operations on the collection interface. Now again I have declared the two collections over here. First one is called as L1, second one is called as an L2. And these are the L1 list which contains value 2, 3, 7, and this is the L2 list which contains 1, 3, 4 and 8. So these are the three inbuilt functions which we are going to discuss in this video. The first one is contains all. Most interesting point here, I use L1 dot contains all L2. So it simply returns true if my L1 contains all the values present in my L2. It contains 1, but the point is I don't see 1 in L1. Therefore, from here it will simply returns false because my L1 does not contains all the values present in my L2. Second one is called as add all. So what does it say? That it simply adds all the values from L2 to L1, right? So it would be 2, 3, 7, 1, 3, 4 and 8. So this is how my list will take on. Last one is called remove all from L2. What does it mean is if my L1 contains all the values of L2, it simply removes all the values of L2 from L1, right? Say for example 2, 3, 1, 4, 7, 8, 3, and I use this method. So what it will do is it will simply remove all the values from L2 which is present in L1. So 3 is present, so remove it, 1 is present, remove it, 4 is present, 8 is present, and so 2, 7 and 3 which is present in L1, these values will be kept. All the remaining values from L2 will be removed. So I hope so you understood a collection interface inbuilt method which is common to all the collection interfaces. If you really like the way I'm teaching the Java collections, do hit the subscribe button and tell me in the comment section how is my teaching style so that I can improve on upcoming lectures. Till then, have a happy coding.